My Mick Jagger dream is not me dreaming that I could be like Mick Jagger. It's a story about me and Mick Jagger that takes place in a dream. I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is Later That Same Life. On this weekly podcast, topics, discussion, stories from our lives.
Season 10, Chapter 4.
This is the Mick Jagger dream. As I said, a story about me and Mick Jagger that happened in a dream, and a story that I've told a few times here and there. I also wrote the story into one of my novels. Yeah, I've written like 3 novels, and before you rush over to Amazon, let me tell you, none have ever been published. In hindsight, that's probably for the best. I think only one of them is good enough to be published. Coincidentally, it's the one where I use the Mick Jagger dream as part of the plot line. So really, this is the first time the Mick Jagger dream story is officially out there. 2 things. I realize that dreams mostly are only interesting to the dreamer. That is often true. That's because dreams are usually disconnected pieces of your psyche. You throw in some random events from your conscious life, maybe a late night snack, lack of air conditioning, and next thing you know, you're sweating out some weird dreams that only you find interesting. Yeah, I was in the audience of The Tonight Show eating mashed potatoes while sitting on an elephant. Great, fascinating. The Mick Jagger dream is different. It's a story, a 3-act play with characters and plot points, intrigue. Secondly, most dreams are quickly forgotten. They come from deep inside your noggin and can quickly go back there to hide, never to be accessed again. I've had that happen. You wake up with a clear dream in the memory, and by the time the coffee's ready, it's gone. Can't remember a thing about it. The Mick Jagger dream is different here as well. It was so stunning to me that when I woke up, I told the story of it out loud to myself twice, like an actor running lines, trying to memorize the dialogue. And later that day, I told the story to 2 different people. So by then, it wasn't just a dream with elusive details. It was a story. I had it down. The dream happened a few years ago. Didn't think to put it into a podcast until now, because Sir Mick just turned 80. He's around the same age as Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell. And in fairness to McConnell, some of the older rock stars these days, they have lyric sheets taped to the floor of the stage these days, just in case they go blank on some of the classics. I don't know that Mick Jagger does that, but some of them do. Can you imagine? I can't get no... Psst, Mick. Satisfaction. What? Satisfaction. You can't get no satisfaction. Read the lyrics on the floor. Oh, I can't. I haven't got me specs. Satisfaction. I can't get no Saturn tractors. Okay, whatever. Anyway, Mick Jagger turned 80. Keith Richards won't be 80 for another few weeks, but he did send a lovely message of happy birthday. I have a transcript of it here somewhere. Here it is. Aw, isn't that nice? Mick Jagger is 80, it's in my mind, and I thought maybe I should tell the Mick Jagger dream story to the Later That Same Life patrons and fans. Let's get to it. In the dream, I'm the host of a radio talk show, which at the time I also was in real life. And that's where the similarities end. As the dream goes, I get into work, and my guest that day was to be Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger is doing some solo tour promoting something and has agreed to appear on my show. Well, that's cool. I'm looking forward to this. He shows up on time. He's got no entourage. Super nice guy. He and I get to talking off the air and then on the air, and we really hit it off. Instant bromance. Like lifelong best friends who only just found each other now. After the interview, he leans over to me and he says, hey, I'm performing tonight at a small club as a favor for a few friends. It's not even announced. It's going to be pretty informal. Why don't you come by, and then afterwards we can do something. Yeah, I'll do that. Hang out with my new best friend, Mick Jagger. That night I drive downtown, I park, I find the club, walk in, and wow, he wasn't kidding. Small club, like tiny. The little riser for the band took up like half the room, and the rest of the place only has like 2 or 3 little tables, and sitting at them is a bunch of really big guys. On stage, there's a drummer, keyboard player, and Mick, who waves at me as I walk in. I wave and don't know where I'm going to sit, but I see there's a little bar near the back there, and it's got like 2 stools. So I sit down, order a drink, and watch a few songs. Mick wraps up the set, and before I could even get up off my stool to go say hello, the drummer and the keyboardist begin beating Mick Jagger with clubs. Not only that, but the patrons at the table, who suddenly all look like characters from The Sopranos, they join in, and they're beating him to death. Next thing I know, they're stuffing him into a body bag and they're duct taping it. I can't believe what I'm watching. I'm stunned. People often talk about an individual's response in time of crisis as fight or flight. Well, there's actually 3. Fight, flight, or freeze. At this point, I am frozen. Then my brain starts to work again. I'm asking, of course, why is this happening? Why is it happening in front of me? Maybe they didn't notice that I came in? Well, the bartender did, but now he's up there helping to duct tape the body bag. So I go from freeze to flight. Yeah, I gotta get out of here now, before they remember that I'm here. They'd locked the front door and pulled down all the blinds, but suddenly I notice a narrow little hallway leading out the back way. I leap off the stool and dash for the back door, burst out into the alley, and I hear the big metal door slam behind me. I expect someone to be chasing me at any moment, so I book it down the alley and around the corner. I go up that street and around another corner. Ooh, no one seems to be behind me, so I stop to catch my breath and figure out my next move. Well, I guess I got to get to my car and get out of downtown, find a cop, maybe just go home and call the cops. I know that if I just go up that way and turn left, that will get me to my car. I start walking quickly. Then something happens in this dream that is actually a recurring theme in many of my dreams. I am in a downtown area that I know really well, but suddenly nothing is where it should be, and I get hopelessly lost. That probably speaks to some deep-rooted psychological problem in my life, but that becomes the boring part of dream analysis. I'm working on it. But it's a big city, everything has changed, I can't get out. So I just witnessed Mick Jagger being murdered, inexplicably. I don't even have time to figure out why. I'm still in shock. I can't find my car. This street that I thought I knew is a dead end now. This other street that I remember, well, nothing is familiar about it at all. I think the mob is after me. I'm the only witness. So I just run, and I keep running. I run so fast and for so long that not only am I out of downtown, but I'm almost out of the city altogether. Totally unfamiliar area. Middle of the night. Almost no traffic. But I do see this light in the distance. Ah, it's a tiny gas station. Still open, I think. I approach, constantly looking over my shoulder. I go in. The attendant is behind plexiglass. I ask if he's got a payphone. No. Okay, look, man, you have to do me a terrific favor. Can you just call me a cab, please? Any cab. I just got to get home. He nods, he makes a call, tells me they're on their way, but that I have to wait outside. as soon as I step outside. All the lights go out. He locks up and hangs up a closed sign. This makes me nervous. Did he call a cab or did he call the mob? Should I stay or should I go? But all of a sudden the cab pulls up. I decide to get in. I remember this odd detail. Instead of giving him my address, I shout out the address of a building like 2 blocks from where I live. All I need to do is to get close to home, then I can approach under cover of darkness and see if anybody is waiting for me outside where I live. Seemed to make sense at the time. As the cab pulls out of the gas station, starts making its way down the street, I notice that this is one of those new driverless cabs, autonomous vehicle. Not quite like the ones in the movie Total Recall, but similar. Interesting. Autonomous cab. I'd heard about these, always wanted to try one. Well, I guess I'm trying one now. And again, I'm not really familiar with this area, but I do realize right away the cab is going the wrong way. It's opposite from the direction of where I think my home is. I start yelling to a computer that should hear me. The other way! Go the other way! The car is not listening. It's not changing course. That's it. I was set up by the gas station guy. I'm being taken somewhere to be disposed of. I try the door. It's locked. What am I going to do? In a panic, I start kicking the rear passenger window. To my surprise, it shatters. The car stops at a light, and I jump out. Again, I'm running. I look back, and the cab is actually not following me at all. It just continues on down the road. I run and run and run, and now I'm in some industrial area. Empty streets. Occasionally, a car or truck goes by. I hide from them. I figure I gotta get inside somewhere before somebody notices me. So I'm trying every door that I pass. At last, one is not locked. I go in. There's just enough ambient light there to tell me that I'm in a cavernous, completely empty warehouse. Hello? Hello? No one here. Just me and a few mice. I look around a bit and then I sit on the floor up against the wall, just trying to catch my breath again and process all that has happened in the last few hours. I think I'll be safe here for a bit, and I can figure out what to do. Eventually, it all catches up to me, and I fall asleep. That's right. I'm sleeping, dreaming a dream where I am sleeping. I wake up. It takes me a few minutes to figure out where I am and why I'm there. Oh, yeah, I remember. I can tell that it's daylight, so I cautiously make my way outside. No one's around. I walk for a bit, and I see a payphone. I'll call the cops. No, wait. How do I know they will help me? I'll sound crazy. I know. First I'll call my friend Dave. I can trust Dave. Dave picks up. Hey, Dave, it's me.
Oh, man. Larry, where have you been? Everyone's been worried sick. Are you all right?
Yeah, mostly. I just slept in a warehouse. I'll tell you all about it. But first, listen to me. Mick Jagger has been murdered. Yeah? He says? I know. But that was like 6 months ago. I wake up. Damn it. I wake up. I'm awake. The detailed story of this dream that just took me several minutes to share with you flashes through my mind in a split second. What happens next? No, don't wake up. Get back to sleep. You need to know the ending. Gotta know what happened. Yeah, what happened? Where was I for those 6 months? Okay, stop panicking. Relax. You are in a phone booth on the outskirts of town. Sleep. You know you're in that weird state between awake and not quite awake? Conscious but subconscious? Sleep. Well, the conscious won. I was awake. Okay, I admit it. I'm awake now. I was awake, and I knew I was awake, and I knew that I just had this dream. Mick Jagger was not a guest on my talk show. I don't know Mick Jagger. He's likely still alive. Although, what if he did die, and his death somehow came to me in some prophetic dream? Is it possible that I'm prescient? Well, I'll check on his status later. This was a dream, and one good enough to remember. So for now, I'm out of bed and I'm walking around telling myself this story, this dream out loud. Because I gotta remember this. This is like a movie, perhaps at least an episodic television HBO series, with this really cool cliffhanger in the penultimate chapter. And if I remember it properly, I can eventually write any ending that I want. And who knows how long this dream really was. I mean, it felt like it went on for most of the night. But it could have all taken place in just a minute. The whole thing. I mean, the psyche holds a lot of detail, and it can feed it to you quickly. I don't think I've been projecting detail onto this story as I spoke out loud, alone in my house that morning, but I found myself remembering amazing details. At the bar, I ordered a beer. The drum kit on stage was black. I remember the face of the gas station attendant, and so on. Detail, detail, detail. And some things I don't know. I couldn't put a face on the bartender or any of the mobsters. See, why are you chasing me? I couldn't even identify you in a police lineup. But seriously, didn't really see them. Also can't explain why this took place in a time of autonomous taxicabs, yet I didn't have a cell phone. That's just a little continuity detail I'll have to fix for a Hollywood script. And what would be the ending? Well, the cab was not just an autonomous vehicle, it was a time machine. Nah, that's no good. The traumatic events caused me to go into shock. And I really was gone for 6 months. I was in a trance, and suddenly I'd snapped out of it and called Dave. Yeah. Of course, how did I live unnoticed all that time? Where did I get food and water? How come I don't have a beard? Oh, I know. 6 months had not passed. Dave was not to be trusted. He was part of the mob, or perhaps being coerced or threatened by the mob to help bring me back in. Yeah, maybe. I don't know what else. Mick Jagger was in on it. He faked his own death. He never really liked me. He just used me. He set me up as a witness so I could go tell all the world that Mick Jagger was dead, and then he could get out of paying exorbitant British taxes. Not only that, it was actually me that was killed. Mick Jagger was now assuming my identity so that he could hide in plain sight. I guess that's no good either. Hey, I know, the whole world is actually some computer matrix, and I'm, never mind, that's been done to death. See, there's the problem. I've had this dream story for a few years now. I think it's good, but I can't come up with a proper ending. The best I've come up with is that it ends right there at the phone booth, and we never know. That could be the lesson. It's like life. The resolution is that there's really no resolution. The other thing that I could never actually come up with any reason that I would be dreaming of Mick Jagger on that particular night. He hadn't recently come up in conversation. I wasn't listening to any Stones music. I have no idea. It was random. Could have been Bob Barker or Boris Johnson, but it wasn't. It was Mick Jagger for some reason. I have no repressed desire for him in any way. Don't particularly want to be his friend. Who knows? The psyche knows, and it's not talking. I did have one real-life Mick Jagger experience, but it was years previous to the dream. I was on a first date with a woman. We went to fancy Yorkville in Toronto. had some dinner, went to a movie, and ended up at a bar afterwards known to be frequented by celebrities. We're sitting at a table. Mick Jagger walks in. "Look, Date, it's Mick Jagger," I say. Some people at a table next to us wave at Mick, and he waves back. He comes in. They all stand up right next to our table, like right there, and they begin chatting. They were so close, I could read the time on Mick's watch. 11:37. It's a nice watch. And they're standing there for a while. I say, "Hey, Date, this is Mick Jagger. Should I say something?" "If you want," she says. "Well, what should I say?" And she says, "Tell him he's standing in my light." Well, maybe they heard her because they walked away. I never did talk to Mick. But based on that line, and that line alone, I did ask her out for a second date.
Later That Same Life is written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. LarryFedoruk37@gmail.com. Subscribe to Larry's podcast YouTube channel. Get automatic notifications with each new episode.